Our guest today is a board certified counselor and founder of Be Inspired Counseling and Consulting. She has coached and advised dozens of women, mental health professionals, and business owners from across the country to help them grow through the many challenges they face. She's highly recognized by other professionals in her field, been awarded the 20 Under 40 Leadership Award, and in addition, she's been a guest on Montel Williams' podcast, Free Thinking. Her expertise has been regularly featured in articles on NBC, Today, and many other media outlets and publications. She contributes monthly, writing on topics such as mental health and well-being. She's passionate about empowering women in leadership to live with confidence, conviction, and limitless beliefs that anything is possible. Welcome, Christy, to the show. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing so great. Thanks for having me, Jillian. This is going to be fun.
I know, I'm excited. So, that's a lot of stuff in a short amount of time. So let's kick it off with, how did you get started in your business?
You know what? It's kind of a crazy story because if you would have asked me even 4 years ago or 3 years ago, Christy, you're going to own a business one day and it's going to be the craziest adventure you've ever went on, but it's going to be super fun in the process, I would have said, okay, yeah, no, not me. So a little bit about me. I'm actually a single mom and sole income earner. So starting a business really was never in my, I guess, dream or vision or anything like that. But I had worked as a regional director for mental health programs at an organization. And over time, their values kind of switched from mine and we weren't really in alignment anymore. And so it made me first take the leap into working for somebody else as a contractor, which was a big leap for me. But one day I came home in 2019, around this time in 2019, I came back to my hometown that I had been gone from for about 5 or 6 years, was visiting with some family. And honestly, I just had this light bulb moment. Like, what if I moved back? And I said I would never move back too. So that's just a little caveat. What if I moved back here and actually start a counseling practice, because they're really in need of some quality mental health services. It's not that they didn't have any, but there really was still a big need here. And I'm like, I wonder if that would be something that I could do. And so I just had this crazy idea. I could not sleep that night. And the next morning I woke up and I sat at my mom's table and I wrote out this idea of what Be Inspired Counseling and Consulting was going to look like. And 3 months later, I had sold my house in the other city that I was living with, moved my daughter and 6 furry rescue animals at the time back to my hometown in Alexandria, Louisiana, and opened the doors in September of 2019 to Be Inspired Counseling and Consulting. So,
oh my gosh, that's amazing. So,
yeah.
that's huge that you did that in such, like, you felt the call to do that and you did it in such a short amount of time. What fears did you overcome with that? Because that sounds like there's probably a lot.
Well, the first fear was like, is this really what I'm supposed to be doing? But I felt it was really weird because I there's some things I lack clarity about sometimes, but this was something that I just felt really strongly I should do. And so I guess, one of the good things is you don't know what you don't know, which is sometimes a blessing. So I
Definitely.
knew that I had this little lump of savings that I was going to live off of for a few months. And I knew that, okay, it's going to cost about this to rent this building and about this for this. But I really didn't know anything other than that, except for, I had started and grew a different type of program for someone else with their own money, right? Like at one point in time in my career, but I never did it for myself and never had went all in. So there was honestly, because I didn't know a lot of things, there was kind of like this belief that I'm just like, oh yeah, this is all going to work out exactly like I envisioned it in my head. But of course, as you know, things don't exactly work out when you envision that. I remember opening the doors and thinking, okay, everybody's going to come see me now. And then sitting in the office by myself and not getting phone calls or not really having any clients come through the door. But I think it's in those moments when you're like, okay, I don't know what to do next, that it makes you figure out what the next step is.
Definitely. And what did you, that is I have a similar background of like opening up this business and I'm like, yeah, I'm ready. And then it's like, wait, where are all the
Crickets.
people? Where they're supposed to be running to me. And I learned a lot about myself during that process. What did you learn about yourself by growing this business from scratch?
Yeah, one of the things I learned is that about myself, and I think this is true for anybody, if you have a strong enough vision and believe in yourself to figure it out, you will, right? Now, it does require, in my opinion, what I call faith in a lot of ways. And it does require hard work. I mean, there's no getting around that. So I think a lot of people see people that have started business and they're like, oh, they make it look so easy, right? But they don't know the stories about you sitting in the office by yourself and no one and calling or coming in for your services, or they don't know about the fact that in month about 6, I remember I looked in my bank account and it was literally $25. And I think the last time I had $25 to my name was probably when I was a teenager, right? So to like kind of be able to look at that and say, okay, but I still believe that if I keep on putting this effort in, if I keep on building relationships in my community, if I keep putting myself out there, if I keep on serving in any way that I can that helps people gain awareness of me so that they can know, like, and trust me, so they can come and get help from me, then this will grow. And it did. So as soon as that month, February hit, another thing that happened that month was the pandemic happened. And so I think one of the things I've learned is that you have to be able to be pivot and be flexible in business. Because during that time, there was a contract opportunity for me that came up that actually was really a blessing in disguise, because ended up doing that. And during that time, then the phone calls started coming in a little bit more frequently for the business. And by June of that year, I actually probably couldn't take any more clients at that point. I was pretty full at that point. And so to go from February, $25 in the bank account to June being pretty full, I think the other thing I learned in that process was you're always one step away. Like when you're ready to probably throw in the towel and give up, you just have to keep going through that, because right on the other side of that is when things tend to work out and open up. And then, so if I would have quit in February when I looked at that bank account, then I would have never saw what Be Inspired is today. And that's really exciting to see where we are now, versus where we were even 2 years ago. 2 years ago, I actually looked at this. I was seeing maybe 8 clients a week by that point when the pandemic hit. And, I had overhead expenses as an owner and all these things that I was having to pay for. And this last month, so that was about 30 clients that I saw that month, 30 appointments. And this past month, we saw almost 500. And so to think of that then 2 years ago, and you just got to keep going, you will get to the place where you'll see the vision comes to life. But it requires you to really have a lot of risk tolerance and faith that it's going to work out.
I'm actually looking at it right now. Like I have a sign in my office that says, don't quit before the miracle happens. And I think that's so true, because so many of us focus on that downtime and what's happening right now, but not realizing like what amazingness is right around the corner, and you just have to keep going. And I think, what do you think is the hardest part of growing a business?
The hardest part for me initially when growing a business, and I still think it is, but I've learned a workaround for that I'll tell everybody. But the hardest part is that you have to do a lot of things on your own initially. So I remember for me in month 3, I sat in my office by myself and I was like, why isn't this as cool as I initially thought it was? And I'm like, well, Christy, because you never have worked by yourself completely. And, a lot of people that start a business, sometimes they are solo by themselves initially, right? Before they add their team members and they have a whole community around them. And so for me, I learned that pretty quickly, but me learning that pretty quickly helped me then get in consulting groups where there were other businesses like mine that were like 10 steps ahead of me that I could learn from. It allowed me to form friendships that were people were maybe lived halfway across the country, but they were in the same trenches as I was. So if I needed to call them up and vent about this thing that wasn't working out right, they were there to help me talk about that, right? And so I think business, when you start out, can be very lonely. But I think the workaround that is go find your people. You have to, because that is really what's going to help you go the distance through your business.
I always talk about that, when we go to these events and everybody's like, I'm killing it, we don't ever talk about like, whew, yesterday was a slog and I wanted to
Yeah.
quit, but I got up this morning and I just kept going. And so I think it's so true. You got to find your people. You got to find someone that you can talk to, a safe place to vent about that, because things are going to happen, and you've got to have those people that say, "You know what? I was there. It's okay.
Right.
You're going to get past it. Here's how
And
I
somebody
fixed it."
and somebody to walk the journey with you, right? Like I have people that I developed friendships in that month 3 when I ended up joining a consulting group that had people that were in the same industry as me, and I was learning from them, and they taught me so much of what to do. So I will say, like, if you find yourself in a stuck place and don't know what to do, invest in yourself and invest in your business before you may even have the money to do so, because it's going to pay off in leaps and bounds. But having somebody that you develop a relationship with at the beginning of your journey, and there's a person just the other day, yesterday, I texted one of I call her my practice buddy friends, or my group practice boss friends, because we have a group practice now. And I said, look, I just went to the bank the other day because we're looking at our second location, and things were a lot better than I thought. Like, right. So she then was able to celebrate that success with me and saying, wow, that's amazing, because we know where we started at and we know where each other is now. So to have not only the people that are in front of you saying, here's the way, follow me, but also having the people that are right alongside of you, that know what it's been like to walk the journey with you. They know the other side of that it wasn't all, rainbows and butterflies all the time, but they also can celebrate the wins with you too as you grow.
I think that's so important. Now tell me, because your business has blown up,
Mhm.
where do you see your business going next? Like, what's the next challenge? What are you working on right now?
Yeah, so right now, what's really cool, there's two things that are happening is initially when I started out, we just had contract positions at our business. So now we're changing our whole model and going into an employee-based model, which is super exciting because we're now gonna be able to offer benefits and things like time off and insurance and things like that. So that's really exciting for me. And we're also at the stage where we're starting to put in leadership, where we're going to have leadership teams. And that's really exciting because I'm slowly stepping back and then getting other people to help fill those roles to help me continue to grow and help the vision grow. And then another exciting thing is we are expanding right now into more space in our office in our first location, which is Alexandria. So we're adding more team members, and so we're expanding to more offices. So that's really exciting. But then the other exciting thing is what's next is we're adding a second location in a city that's probably about 45 minutes away from us, and they're really underserved. And so one of the things that has been most rewarding for me is to not only provide a space where therapists can come and do what they love and have a great work-life balance and really feel a part of a team and a mission that they can stand behind. But the other exciting thing is to be able to provide mental health care in places that really don't have, access to it, or there's not a lot of therapists in that area that are serving them, and then providing that place for therapists to do what they love, but then also really making an impact on the community as well is where we're going next. So we're just going to continue to figure out how we can serve and grow in that way, and then just I call it follow the breadcrumbs. So we're just following the breadcrumbs.
Oh, that's awesome. And I'm really glad, because you brought up an interesting point just a minute ago about how you're reaching out to people that are helping you, that are 10 steps ahead of you. So, what's one piece of advice that you would give to a small business owner that might be struggling? That's like, hey, I'm in that spot right now where there's $25 in my checking account. Like, what is one thing that you would share with them to be like, you got this?
Yes. So it's crazy that the theme of our conversation has been this, but I really wrote this down, is that I do believe that you need to build a team around you. And I feel like there's a few people you need in your team, right? You need your battle buddies, is what I call them. And those are the people that are in the trenches with you that you find. And I mean, the internet is a great place. You can find so many groups that are, whether it's a free group or a paid group that you're a part of that has consulting in it for your industry. Like at this point in time, I feel like most industries have that available to them. So I would definitely say lean into that, get your battle buddies. But then I also think you need some gurus, and I call these gurus like the people that are like the Yodas that you want to follow, that you want to learn from, that they are where you want to be in 2 to 3 years from now. And how can you learn from that? And then you also need other professionals. So like you need to build relationships with, and this happens over time, but like somebody who's an accountant that really knows and understands the numbers of your business and can explain that to you and help you figure out how to make financial decisions. You need people like a lawyer, you need a realtor if you are in a brick and mortar business, and you may have to, because we have dealt with so many crazy things where we've had to move unexpectedly due to bad weather and that, so you need those people on your team so that when the stuff hits the fan, you are not alone in trying to figure out what you need to do next or where you need to go next. And so that is my one advice. Don't wait till you're like a year into business. When you start developing these relationships, because those relationships are going to be the thing that, number one, helps you maintain your sanity through the craziness. And they're also going to help you in your decision-making processes to really make really good, sound decisions that will support the lifetime of your business. And so that is my one you must do it recommendation.
I love that. I'm going to steal that, battle buddies, because that's so true. You got to have that team around you to like pump you back up when you fall down. That's awesome. Now,
Yeah.
where can people find you on the big internet? Like, because like you said, like you got to reach out to people, find people. Where can people find you?
Yeah, if you want to connect with me, you can find me on my personal website, christypennison.com, or you connect with me on social media. I'm on Instagram and Facebook, and both of those are at Christy Pennison. So definitely just reach out if you have questions. I'd be happy to help in whatever way, or support you and be a battle buddy along the journey, because it's crazy how much you can learn in a short amount of time. But I think going the journey with other people really is where it's at and can really be super rewarding for you as a business owner.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. Well, thank you so much again for spending time with us. I'll be sure to link your Instagram, Facebook, and your website as well in the show notes so people can find it quick and easy. Thanks again so much for spending time with me.
Yeah, thank you for having me.